Good evening, how are we doing? Apologies for being a tiny bit late, just getting a couple of things sorted out and dusting things. Been doing a lot of DIY this weekend, but more importantly, more realistically, more truthfully, Hannah has. Upcycling a few bits for the bathroom, decorating the bathroom, just the bedroom last week as well. So gets dusty, gets clean, gets painted. Yeah, everything's looking that little tiny bit fresher. So as I titled this tonight, I've just put tracking. And I said this morning at the end of the workout there, I was going to look at, talk around tracking. I got myself a tracking band, or should say, it's actually an early Father's Day present from Hannah and the kids, which was really nice of them to give it to me early. I'm really enjoying looking at it. And a couple of weeks ago, I started tracking just with my phone to track my steps, because I've become conscious that maybe my activity overall had just dropped. Still doing my workouts, still doing those, but not as active around and about day to day. So I thought, start tracking with that. Then previous weekend, not this last weekend, hey Sarah, I got Strava because I was doing the XCC events, and some of that was walking and a run and tracking my hill climb, my step climbs and things like that. So I got that so they can link to their account so they can see what I was doing, and yeah, share that as we did it within our group as well. So different bits of tracking was coming together. I was using Google Fix built into my phone, which just works well with my phone because it's a Google phone. But actually it's not really giving me that much interesting stuff. It's just saying I've done this many steps, but I don't even keep my phone on me all the time. So obviously, like, I move quite a lot with the workouts, but that's not being tracked. So now I've got the band that's tracking all the time, which is great. And it's giving me probably a bit more accurate data. Now this is where it gets a bit, it's hard to compare to somebody else. In fact, a couple of you guys in the group have got exactly the same band as me and have been helpful in messaging me to say, oh, don't forget to stop it now you finish the workout. I've literally tracked 2 workouts so far. Tracked boot camp on Saturday, and I've tracked this morning's workout. And quick message back to say, how many calories did you burn? But because it's all based off heart rate, it said I burnt 146 calories in roughly 25 minutes of activity. I hadn't started it for the warm-up, just still kind of calm, not very quick at getting it started. But from what I did, so maybe add another 15, 20 calories onto that. Doesn't sound like very much. The point is, though, more that I can look back at that workout through the app on my phone next week and say, how many did I do this Monday? Or I can start to compare workouts across the week. But that low level really shows that actually sometimes the exercise and the workouts we do are only just a small part of our calorie turnover. They're going to contribute, they're going to give extra, but actually it's that day to day. So on the front screen at the moment, it's told me if my steps today, I have covered an extra 382 calories that I might not have done if I'd been even more kind of sat down. So that's good. So overall there, active calories today, maybe pushing up over over 500, which is great. I know roughly for me that I can eat around about 3,800 calories a day, which I know is high, and roughly stay the same weight. Therefore, I'm maintaining. So when I chip into that 3,800 down to around about 3,400, 3,300, then I'm in a good deficit and I start to lose body fat and weight will come down as well slowly. It's more about, for tracking, it's more about the comparison. And that's the same when you start to look at weight week to week and how do we compare that. Now, I will send the weekly check-in out on a Sunday because it's the end of the week and Monday starts the new week, and it's kind of like keeps everything fresh in everyone's mind. Maybe Sunday is not the best day to weigh for you because it's the weekend and we might have gone steady through the week, saved some calories, and we use them at the weekend. That's kind of, in a sense, a natural rhythm of life that most of us have. That's cool. So maybe weighing on a Sunday is not the best time. Maybe weighing, and this is my usual day, is a Wednesday, because I feel like actually if I do go a little bit high on the weekend, I've had those 2-3 days to bring it back again, which can be very, very useful. So that's something to think about. Some trainers and coaches encourage weighing 3 times a week to take an average. Some even encourage weighing every single day, but that can be a bit of a psychological thing to struggle with because it will fluctuate, and there's loads of reasons why weight fluctuates. Hydration, amount of food you have just got sitting in there waiting to be digested, salt content of your food, therefore bringing in more water, high carbohydrates, even though you're not over your calories, brings in more water, all sorts of different factors, you know, that affect weight. Just that natural little fluctuation day to day. Before we even get into the monthly cycle and ladies just retaining more water for the body to be able to deal with that, you know, those all changes are going to happen day to day. So I think actually it's more just about take it, move on, and compare over a longer period of time, as in 4 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, and so on, and look at the trend in that time. If that trend's going in the right direction compared to your goals, then you're doing the right sort of things. And you know, that is looking at a longer trend. Same with measurements. Monthly is good. Might not see a massive difference in 4 weeks, but 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 16 weeks, that's where we're going to start to see things. Also tracking workouts, not just in terms of calories, but in terms of variations and in terms of progression of exercises, where you can train at the gym, add in weight, add in time, add in repetitions, all that sort of thing. So tracking is great, but it's only really there for to give us an idea of what's going on. In a sense, it's not the be all and end all. If we get too bogged down into tracking for tracking's sake and what it says on a kind of almost daily workout, each time you weigh type of thing, and that is what we build it around, is those one-off points, then we might be disappointed, and then that potentially leads to difficulties in terms of motivation, keeping going, feeling like it's not working. But it's more looking at the trends over time. So if you've done a good number of weeks and had the majority of the time doing all the things, the exercise, the workouts, daily steps, keeping activity there, calorie deficit for weight loss, enough calories going in for muscle gain, therefore weight going up a touch, measurements going in the right directions compared to that, also around your goals. If over 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 16 weeks, longer still, it's going in the right direction, then that's what we're looking for, not these individual points. The point of data is obviously is therefore comparison, comparing backwards and forwards. So kind of like what's gone on, so what needs to go on to keep moving in the direction we want to go in. And you know, in some ways it is, hello cat, not as important right now, some of this stuff, because we maybe can't be as active, or work's more stressful because we're still social distancing and isolation, or we're less active because physically how you're doing your job is a lot different. Mine is, you know, I'm still doing the workouts, but I'm not moving around, I'm not moving weights, I'm not setting classes up, doing all that sort of thing, and just generally moving about as much as I normally would. But I think because of having a form of tracking, I've actually brought that back up a little bit more, in the sense of I've just become mindful. And it's more about being mindful of these things than it is about focusing in hard on each individual data point. So when you take your measurements, that's cool, but even the number of measurements that we do that I get you to do for tracking measurements for your progress, it's really hard to measure your legs, your arms, you know, everything in exactly the same place as last time. So it's more then about looking at the trend and getting the best average over time. Same with scales, you know. My scales live under the sofa downstairs because there's no space in the bathroom, and that means they are getting knocked when the sofa gets moved, they are not on the same place on the floor every time they get used. You know, they're not going to be, it's not as accurate as potentially it might be somewhere where that's really critical. You know, hopefully the doctors have got a really good accurate scales. You know, the digital, they do readings, other readings as well, but they're still just a fairly generic, cheap pair of scales. It's just a tool, and that's what we've got to treat all this data. Just funnel it in to wherever we save it, MyFitnessPal, health app that links to your band, saved in your phone because you're tracking just with your phone, whatever. And just look at the trends over time, and don't worry about whether it is not changing too much week to week. Look over 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 16, 12 weeks, 16 weeks. Those sorts of points are more critical than the very first thing. If you're doing the stuff, as I was saying last week, if you're doing the exercise, doing the workouts, keep your nutrition on track, and even if everything stays the same, something's still changing. You can't get fitter, you can't get stronger, you can't be able to do that little bit more with your body without your body actually changing physiologically. You're either using fat as fuel and maintaining or keeping muscle, or adding a little bit of muscle. That's probably more prevalent for guys. Or things are maintaining and you're just getting a composition change, if not too much is changing. I would just encourage you just to keep on going and don't get bogged down in tracking. A couple of points on that. It is based on heart rate. Most of the tracking, it takes your heart rate. It's got your stats built in through probably how you set it up, and it is just working off that. So I would expect that if I did a workout where I pushed it that bit harder so I couldn't really speak through it, which obviously I talk through all my workouts, so I'm probably working around about 7 out of 10 some of the time, 8 out of 10 maximum, because I could still talk quite well through the workouts. Then if I push my heart rate up, it'll probably tell me I've got a better calorie burn. The other side of that is that it also, with the sleep tracking that some of these things do, I've had people say to me that I've trained, oh, I only slept for 2 hours last night because that's what my watch says, that's what my app says. It's unlikely it's been that lower level of sleep. It's just because it's done on heart rate. If you're quite a light sleeper and your heart rate stays fairly up in comparison to how it expects it to go, as in over time it builds up what your resting heart rate is, it will look for that resting heart rate or just below as you sleep. If you're someone that sleeps quite light, it might start saying, actually you've been awake, when actually you were asleep, just not in very deep sleep. So I've seen that become a real stressful point for more than one person with tracking. So don't get too bogged down in exactly what's being outputted. It's only as good as the algorithm, and that's got better over time, the same as most algorithms, but you know, it is just collecting that data. One final point on tracking: whatever you do with your tracking, don't link anything to MyFitnessPal. Keep it separate, because when we set up MyFitnessPal, we're putting in the calories, your total calories that you need for the whole day, plus your deficit, already worked out. Don't add in any more calories from tracking or in workouts. Very, very hard to add that back, and very, very hard to calculate what's going on. MyFitnessPal wants to be set up at the basic metabolic rate, and then you add in your workout or your exercise, your steps, everything like that, and then kind of do your own calculation about where you then keep it. Taking that away, what we input into MyFitnessPal is the calories you should be having with your deficit built in, to also take into account activity that you're doing. So you don't want to add any more activity in. Keep the two things separate. How you doing, buddy? You all right?
You're right.
Good, thanks, mate. So yeah, keep those two things unlinked. Don't complicate MyFitnessPal by trying to add exercise and workouts into it. Track that separately. So I've got MyFitnessPal on my phone. I've also got Huawei Health from a band, and I've got Google Fit, and I funnel the Huawei Health and the Strava data into Google Fit just because it can, and I've purposely left MyFitnessPal linked to none of it, because I just want it linked, just want it working on its own, just as a nutrition app, not tracking any activity. Obviously, MyFitnessPal want you to do that. They want you to get the Under Armour tracking apps in terms of running, swimming. They've got a whole suite of apps which are cool. They've probably got their own bands and things you can buy, but it's going to get too complicated if we start linking them in, because once we do that, then we've got to rejig how MyFitnessPal set up, and it's set up in such a way that it wants to tell you what the baseline of what you're eating is, and then add stuff in. Just very, very complicated to do, and trying to make things as simple as possible so it's easy to do and sustainable, rather than overcomplicating things. So take tracking, take the data for what it is, which is a useful tool, and to build that data up over time to see what's going on. Don't worry too much about individual calorie burns from workouts, individual points of measurement, or individual points of taking away. it's a trend over time we're looking for. So, like I said last week and saying again now, if putting in workouts, activity, exercise, doing the nutrition right, most of the time you're going to be on track and eventually start to see that trend that you want. And there might be times when things go up and come back down. That's just natural fluctuations, because the human body is amazing and it's also highly frustrating at times. So by all means track, by all means keep a record in terms of, if you're tracking, you've probably got an app, so it'll keep a record for you, and then do some comparisons over time, but don't get too worried about individual points when you track something. Great stuff. So I am going to go and have a nice sausage salad, I believe we're having tonight. So the sausage is cooked, salad is separate, put that hot and cold together. Quite simple, quite straightforward type of meal tonight. And yes, then I'm going to be do a little bit more work and then done. I'm back on tomorrow morning at 8 AM for Tuesday Tabata, and then tomorrow we've got 6 PM workout as well, the weights workout. So have a really good evening. Any comments, questions around tracking, anything else to do with health, fitness, well-being, anything else we do in MW Fitness Online, please drop me a comment, send me a message. Always happy to answer and try and put you in the right direction with whatever it is. So please give me a shout, and yeah, hope you're doing good. Speak to you soon.